Opposites of one another, 3-9 versus 9-3. Good luck, Counter Logic Gaming. Cloud9 hoping to hold on to that bye.
First ban wasn't a Skarner or a Ryze.
Wow. More new things coming into this one.
Incredible.
Wow.
Let's
no
see
Caitlyn for
the next
sneaky.
two.
Ryze. Is it Ryze?
Ryze or Skarner?
It's Skarner. All right.
So the last
I will be shocked if Ryze is allowed to be picked.
Ryze. Unless Jensen feels that he has some really good matchup into it that he can kind of abuse Huhi in perhaps. But Ryze is funny because it's a champion that is still picked in pro play when it has like a 40% win rate and is considered trash in solo queue.
Yeah.
And right now it's actually pretty solid
like
in
48
solo queue. It's
solo
like 48.
yeah.
So in pro play, it's generally considered pretty insane.
I like the Cloud9's debating the final ban.
I mean, we don't really know what they are. They can just be talking about their picks, right? Like, you can be talking a couple steps ahead in the draft.
Whoa!
Yeah, so it is actually going to be a Shen ban. So they either don't think that Huhi has the confidence to play this, or they are confident they can actually play something into it. I mean, he has only played the pick once this season, so it's not like he's always playing Ryze, and Ryze is left open here for Jensen, so very surprising to see it go through pick and ban for both sides.
Yeah. I am honestly truly shocked to see Ryze allowed to be picked. I really do think he is the individually best champion in League of Legends in Pro and 8.4. These teams, of course, might consider otherwise. Both Ziggs and Reaver have substantially more coaching experience than I do, but Varus to match up against Xayah in the bot lane, and what will they pick? It's also interesting because... And they don't care. Cassio is still up here too, and Cassio was always kind of considered a pretty good matchup into Ryze and got a lot better with the patch, so it may be a situation where one team is hoping that the other will grab it and they will be able to then kind of counter it with a Cassio or answer it in that way. Or at the same time, perhaps these teams have had just different results in their scrims with the Ryze than some of the others, because certainly talking to some of the pros and definitely based on win rate data and these sorts of things, everything is pointing towards Ryze being the best pick, especially alongside the fact that some of its competition has been nerfed. The itemization, the build path that it was already doing is just much better. So you're definitely expecting to see more attention on that pick. Well, Sven going to find himself the second time playing a non-Cinderhulk jungler here. He's got himself the Kha'Zix into this one. He played Evelynn much earlier on as Xayah Rakan duo grab together, and there's a Zac. And this could just be the Ryze pick right here, and then if you are worried about a Cassio or something like that, you have your second round bans to actually target that. Yeah. But if it is not picked here, then it may just fall completely through. I mean, it is Jensen's most played, this split, so definitely would be really surprising to see it go ignored, especially when you do have the Kha'Zix. I think that combination there can be quite powerful, but they're going to prioritize. Yeah, it is going to be the Ryze. Okay, so then you are now expecting Cloud9 to look in the ban phase towards whatever they consider to be the tough matchups. The reasons that they were perhaps not picking it earlier may come out here. We'll see if there is any mid laner that they're kind of concerned about. And Counter Logic Gaming, of course, have incentives to now ban away some tanks, specifically from Smoothie. In the support role, Licorice has mostly only shown carry champions in the LCS. He can certainly play other types for sure, and there is that Cassio ban you mentioned. Of course, not a surprise at all that it's the first ban here, but I'm wondering actually if CLG can find themselves an advantage getting Licorice off his most common types of champions. Yeah, and it's actually an Alawi ban here, which is pretty interesting. I have seen this come out a little bit in 8.4, kind of as a response to some of the blind pick tanks. It can be a very strong matchup. It does deal physical damage, a way to kind of deal with some of those banners. But it is tough with the way that CLG just kind of drafted this out, because you didn't target any tank supports in the earlier ban phase. So banning out 2 now doesn't really do anything. You can ban out Alistar. Exactly, but there's still Taric, there's still Tom, there's still a lot of other picks. So they are going to ban what they consider to be the highest priority one, the Alistar, which I think makes a lot of sense against Smoothie, especially with his propensity to roam. He loves to get on the map to affect other lanes. I think this is the strongest roamer of the tank supports. But Leona would be a very exciting pick. And that is spicy. It's hard to engage because they're running. Looks like they're going to go for it. They're running a Kha'Zix jungle. They need the hard engage somewhere else, and it's going to be Leona picked in for Smoothie. Not a tank we expected to see, but one we are happy to all the same. And they finally need a top laner for themselves on Licorice, and I wonder if they'll run mono tank or if they really will have him pick up a Maokai or something and come alongside. There's Taliyah in the mid lane here for Huhi. And what will they blind pick at the top lane? Could just simply be a Gnar, but that does open up for a Camille, so they are going to go Cho'Gath here, kind of a very safe blind pick champion there for Darshan. But the Leona is going to be really exciting
in the bot lane, but it's also, you know, you're up against two pretty slippery bot laners, right? You know, they do have the Xayah ultimate to kind of avoid the Leona ultimate engage, and Rakan does have his Grand Entrance kind of used as an escape, or you can just zip back with your shield to your AD carry. So there's a lot of ways to kind of answer it. Woo! Tank versus tank in the top lane, baby.
Exciting times. The first tank Licorice has played all year, as long as you don't count Gnar as that kind of champion. He's now played as many Maokai games as Lucian. That's when you know you've got a really cool top laner, and those are equal pick priority there. So it is going to be a two-tank team. Licorice going to change his champ pool to fit what the team needs. They'd rather have Sven on an assassin than keep Licorice on a Black Cleaver, and that's the team comp.
And I'm actually of the opinion that when you have an assassin jungler, when you have someone like a Kha'Zix or an Eve or something like that, one of the best possible ways to enable that is simply a tank top with a lot of CC, because it gives you such an obvious, easy place to gank. There's such strong gank assist there. But honestly, I really like this draft, especially for Svenskeren, because there is great setup for ganks in all three lanes. You go to bot lane, there's Leona there, and post 6, you have the Varus ultimate. Ryze is a very easy point-and-click route. And Maokai has a tremendous amount of CC, so really, anywhere he wants to go, his team can enable him to get these kills, and that could mean Svenskeren has a good game and really gets snowballing.
Of course, a bit of a different look for CLG as well, also not going for as heavy of a carry focus in the top lane as well. You look at what's been coming through for Darshan, and it's been a lot of other stuff. You've seen the Vladimirs and everything else come out of him, and we'll see just what they can find in this one. The Zach of a ReignOver, who he's going to continue to try and play his roaming style, and Taliyah, of course, is built for it, planning to play for comfort, and we'll see if Stixxay can continue to have a couple of good games here on Xayah. Rakan, it should be a very strong 2-on-2 lane, and maybe they can put something forward for themselves, but CLG need to start picking up wins right away if they want to have a postseason. We are into the game. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so much pressure really on CLG to try to keep fighting for that postseason and to try to kind of redeem themselves and build up some hope for their fans for the future with this squad, right? Because it has been really the roughest split they have ever had, and that's kind of tough to look at for this team that has been so successful for so long in North America.
But you realize CLG have everyone right where they want them. No one believes in them. They're against the #2 team in NA, which means they are 99% likely to win this game.
Okay.
This is the situation. Also, if you don't want to hear me talk anymore, which is most of you, go ahead and watch the NALCS Lounge of Riot Games 2. Zyreen's hanging out with Nadeshot and Prolly of 100 Thieves, and they will talk about the fun things. Or if you'd rather hear Azael, stay here.
There you go. Or Phreak. Lots of people like to hear you too. There is mid-AG Materializer here from Darshan in the top lane, not really where you see it brought very often. But that is pretty interesting, and two people can actually bring that on the C9 side. So both Smoothie and Jensen will be taking that rune to deal with any potential banner shenanigans later on, but that is pretty far in the future, so don't really have to worry about it just yet. Both junglers looking like they're going to get a leash here early on, and we'll see what kind of path they want to take.
Well, pretty quick picks up on these, and yeah, we'll see where the next second and third camps end up being here as Jason now walk to their respective lanes. Not a problem for Sven to knock this one down into the Grom. Single target camps, of course, ideal for him, as ReignOver going to run straight over towards Wolves in his blue buff.
Yeah, we'll see how safe of a path he actually wants to take, if he is going to go straight for the double buff and then back towards clear. And looks like that is going to be what he does. A lot of people like to do this because you can simply pull it over to the Gromp and you can kind of double clear.
Good bit of damage. Yeah, I mean, that is just the power of Xayah, Rakan, and the duo. And of course, level 1 Leona is just not that threatening, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the level 1 W from Xayah, giving the attack speed over to Rakan as well, you know, at level 1 makes you so powerful because auto attacks are such a huge percentage of your damage at that early stage, and it means your support is going to be putting out a lot of DPS there as well.
Really important for C9. They got level 2 first, and there we go. Another knock-up here. Ignite is on as well. The retrade, though, is they're going to find the stun into Stixxay, meaning the fight's not going to work much longer. But a couple shields come through and they stay alive. A trade of Ignites, and 7 heal used by both AD carries as well. And now Sven is here in the mid lane. They find the empowered root. There's the flash and cleanse down. Huhi at 200 HP, Summonerless.
I mean, that's just really nice pathing there. Full bottom side clear, and then comes from bottom side at a timing you were not expecting. So you can see the ward from Huhi was actually on the top side of the map, expecting any potential gank to be coming from the red buff quadrant. So really smart pathing there from Svenskeren, not spotted, and the easy route setup gets 2 summoners.
And smart pathing is normally the hallmark of ReignOver as a player. He went topside to maybe not be invaded by Kha'Zix to keep his second buffs alive, but now he can't even counter jungle the top side. He's going to get rid of his own camps now as well. As a bot lane fight continues again, more damage done towards Sneaky. He's of course very tanky with Aftershock, not going to be in much of a danger himself. But a scrappy bot lane.
Definitely some credit over to Biofrost, though, who has hit all of his W's so far in this lane, consistently connecting there onto Sneaky and really allowing them to kind of win some of these trades. Both ADCs do not have their HP pots, though, but getting mid lane.
It's a flash out, pulled right back in for some more damage as well, and Jensen going to be able to lick his wounds a bit longer. Flash down.
Yeah, so nicely done there by ReignOver, gets one of the summoners out. It is still a summoner advantage in the mid lane there for Jensen, which is pretty important when you are playing Spellbook, because having one summoner up to be able to swap that out to a TP is really, really nice if you want to try to get an advantageous early base. But it looks like it is going to be Huhi going back to base, and we'll see if Jensen does elect to swap over to the TP and try to use that to kind of not miss out on any farm or XP.
In this one. So yeah, tier stacking going to be nice on the one side, and so we're going to see more and more of the Archangel's users, and gotta say it's going to feel pretty good for Huhi having a giant mana pool, since Taliyah is pretty mana hungry in terms of the wave clear, the key mana cost nerf that happened about a year ago at this point.
Kha'Zix down on the bot side, and Smoothie can look for this engage. He hasn't been spotted. Stixxay's going to ward.
Ooh, and he's going to be found out. Red buff is in. Electric damage comes in. Nice flash gets away from Smoothie, though. That was crucial. And the re-engage means Sven has 5 HP left, but just barely stays alive, nearly turning it around Counterlogic Gaming.
Yeah, nice job fighting back there from Stixxay and Biofrost, but it's Smoothie missing his Zenith Blade. Would have been a guaranteed kill onto Stixxay if he hit that. Does miss, and it means it's actually the flash forced out of their jungler, and they're the ones who take the worst end of that trade.
But the CLG duo, and again, it's a very strong combination of champions, and piloting, of course, is very important as well, and they've done that so far into this.
And it's so important to not get behind a Leona lane, because if you are in the advantage against Leona, she becomes pretty useless if she can't engage, and if she is ahead, she can do just these non-stop engages. The 3-man roam up to topside, though. They're looking to catch Licorice out here.
Immune's the Q, so he can't be knocked back with that one. Gets away from some more. This one now, here's the flash. And there are not any more hard crowd control tools left. And Licorice walks away, only losing a single summoner.
That was honestly just so well done there by Licorice. Using the root to actually immune the stretching strikes there from Zach, sidesteps the fling backwards, and then flashes out. Just good job.
Yep, TP's right back in, got a Sector's Cowl to ignore even more of the magic damage that comes out of Cho'Gath, but of course, warding's going to be hard. He's got a sapling for it, but that's it.
But you know what is even bigger actually about the Cowl is the fact that it's 3 AP topside, essentially, or 3 magic damage topside, and anytime I'm in this situation as a top laner, I feel incredibly safe if I have not died pre-Cowl buy. Because you're itemizing against everyone who's going to gank you. Huhi, Zach, and this Cho'Gath all deal magic damage, and you know, brushing a Spirit Visage here just becomes so ridiculously efficient, whereas on the side of Darshan, yes, you can build HP with his Catalyst, and it's not that you're going to be super easy to take down, but you are not helping yourself with your itemization against the Kha'Zix, who is going to be a huge source of damage coming out.
Totally agree, and it's always one of the things that matters quite a lot, especially if it's a more volatile top lane matchup. There's a lot of hard crowd control, and in the case of Cho'Gath, actually decent amount of burst, so you would have liked to see that be a little bit easier on their side, but once again, we look at this bottom lane, a Smoothie waiting in the wings, but no engage to be found.
It also makes it that much more important for Stixxay to have a good game, because anytime you can put the AD carry as the sole physical damage source behind, then you can really just kind of ignore them. You don't have to actually build armor. You build pure MR, you try to dive towards this AD carry, and as the Maokai, you can basically just ignore everyone else because that's who you're itemizing against. But never kind of collapsing.
Threat here, Sven's on a ward, and it's a 3v2 at this point, and he's hugging it, pulling it back, but it's going to leash again. He's not going to get this red buff. He's not even wasting rid of his time that much. He's just killing the Krugs anyway.
They might be able to recommit for this, though, now, because Jensen pushed in the wave. That's what they were waiting for. So Jensen does have the wave shoved in. They can make the roam now, and ReignOver's looking to go over for this fight, but will it get turned around on them?
Eats away, not knocked up. Zako pulls them back, and now the Taliyah going to cut off the retreats for a few more seconds, and once again, the reset on the red buff. 4th time here on this as Sneaky is shoved in the wave, but it's just Stixxay getting the farm. He can join in a little bit, where they got a little bit of a root, a lot of damage there, and they might just get that kill picked up, and they will. First blood down into Biofrost, who's going to be picked off, but Smoothie has nowhere to go. He is flashed down. The damage of it might not be enough, though. He's going to walk away. They're going to split Zach and a Bloblets. No teleport means they can kill him with that one, but here comes Xayah. Can he make it happen? Stixxay tries to get the damage. The flash is out at 12 combined HP. Jensen and Smoothie get away with their lives, just barely only 1 for 0 Cloud9.
That was so close to being more kills for CLG there, but it is C9. getting the kills, getting out, getting the Zac passive, really playing that on the razor's edge. Stixxay just was not able to actually come over and answer that play for so long because he was pushed in. He didn't feel like he could afford to miss out on those minions. And as a result, C9 has the man advantage. You can see Stixxay still over under that turret. And Biofrost just walks up, straight up rooted out and bursts down before he can really do anything. And then Smoothie here, dodging out the elastic slingshot, utilizing his W, which gives him so much extra armor and MR to barely survive there. And then Stixxay and Huhi doing a good job kind of zoning and protecting ReignOver. Even Huhi, you can see stepping in front of that last Q coming out of Jensen there, which may have taken down the blob.
So some nice heads-up play by some of these players. This game, of course, still very close, only 600 apart, which is what you get for an first blood. Well, indicates otherwise going pretty close to equal here as Licorice and Darshan just trade back and forth. Licorice a bit more farm to his name, but not by a huge amount. Farm continues.
Yeah, definitely so. But you can see that Darshan having the mana advantage is actually pretty big there. Licorice, he is running low on mana, and people have talked about it. They talked about it on the desk. Oh, he hasn't really played any tanks, so it doesn't mean that he's going to be bad on tanks, but it is more of an unknown quantity. Yeah. And one of the things that can be kind of interesting to track is people's mana management on those champions.
The CC onto the turret. Look at that. A lot of damage there. They almost got the burst, and they will have it. Sneaky gets the kill on a Stixxay, and actually Biofrost also forced to flash away. 3 summoners lost for that. The chain CC, no flash out for Stixxay. Yeah,
and Stixxay did not have his ultimate because he actually committed at protecting ReignOver in his passive in the earlier play. So that is kind of the continuation of that jungle invade. C9 recognized he expended the ultimate, recognized it's going to be a long cooldown early on. They get the kill, they put him behind, and they're going to get the turret probably here too, unless someone can come down to respond. I mean, Siki is getting massively ahead. 2 kills up, 20 CS up, and if they get this turret here too, his gold lead is just absolutely enormous.
Choose not to be risky about it as ReignOver does come by, and Taliyah had the chance of roaming. You can see Huhi right in front of that red buff, pinged again that she's coming back down to the mid lane. Up, I should say, to the mid lane as an invisible Kha'Zix shows up and says, "Hello, Huhi, I've got some damage output for you." Half HP down, out he goes.
Yeah, it's a nice chunk there onto the mid laner, giving more pressure here for Jensen. He can move up and get some more damage down. Here is the play again. Smoothie in the brush. Comes out of fog, finds Stixxay, knowing he does not have the ability to get away with his ultimate. He would have had to flash the Zenith Blade, and that's really the only play you can make in that situation. You kind of have to realize that your ultimate is down. That is the only way you can actually react, but that is pretty tough to sometimes figure that out right in the moment. But that's kind of what's required to survive those sorts of plays when you are playing against the hard engaged champions. This is similar to what we saw with Wild Turtle against Aphromoo. When you do see that Blitzcrank hook coming out, you're at full health. You don't want to flash it. You have to.
I think it's actually worth considering for Stixxay is consider going Resolve secondary instead of Sorcery. Unless he's doing Nullifying Orb, in which case he's got like plus health in that sort of rune page anyway. But considering that he is a double BF Sword champion, the value of raw attack damage that Sorcery normally gives you is just actually diminished compared to a double Zeal AD carry. And increasingly, I think Resolve should be really considered on the more assaultable champions. I mean, there's a Leona and a Kha'Zix against a 525 range champion. Like, you might want to consider Resolve, honestly, in a game like this, but it's not the most important thing in the game, but something I want to have players consider at some point.
But it is interesting to talk about it. It's one of those things where it's easy to see both sides because definitely Resolve will help you survive, but you're thinking, well, we have an advantageous 2v2 anyway, so we should be the ones pushing the pace. We should be the ones dominating this lane. And in that situation, if you are ahead, hey, maybe you don't actually need Resolve. But from this position, yeah, maybe second-guessing some of those choices.
Yeah, hindsight's always a thing, of course, and you have to play the high percentage play in Champ Select. You can't change your rings later on. Either way, that's the case that we're in right now. A 25 minion lead for Sneaky. He's pretty close to the Rage Blade now in that Varus. It's a huge power strike for the champion, obviously. Top lane still pretty close to equal. Banner of Command rushed pretty early by Darshan. And keep in mind, again, Licorice, a magic damage champion, cannot kill those minions easily, as he's MR stacked himself, won't be dying, but the minion push can be nice. ReignOver waiting for the gank. He knows he's safe. There's 2 control wards, knowing that there's 0 chance he was spotted, but doesn't find the gank anyway. Cloud9 playing defensively enough, sussing out what could have been.
Yeah. Sometimes without seeing the jungler, you can kind of intuit some of these situations just simply by how the 2v2 lane is playing. You know, if all of a sudden Biofrost is moving a little bit more forward, that kind of thing can give it away quite a bit, especially when they're already at a disadvantage. You're kind of wondering what could be going on there. But Licorice, going to be very tanky boy already with the Spirit Visage and the Merc Treads completed. Not much chance of of killing him without Stixxay being involved. It's going to be incredibly difficult, but I do like the Baron rush in this situation. As you said, it is magic damage coming out here.
The attempt is going to force a flash into Sneaky. Actually lands the Q, but doesn't go for the stretching strike second auto to pull him back towards. Wasn't going to be a kill anyway. The flash down.
But that's kind of the play that you're talking about, right? It's almost the same situation, just reversed here, as what Smoothie just did onto Stixxay. Sneaky had to respect flash that, because if you get hit, you're going to then hit confirm the ultimate, you're going to be pulled in, and yes, it is just one thing, but it leads to everything else, and Sneaky early flash, I think showing a lot of respect there to the crowd control that can come out of CLG, and does survive as a result.
He's been looking for his next play. So far has been kill and assistless, but has actually managed to burn 3 or 4 summoners throughout his attempts in the lanes. Otherwise, just farming at parity with ReignOver, which honestly, I would probably side with Zach.
Yep.
If you're going to go and have a 0-kill game, that's pretty good for the one champion. It's going to be a catch on to Smoothie. A lot of hard crowd control. The ult coming back out for Sneaky, but doesn't really matter. The summoning heal comes in.
Licorice is
Buys
here.
a few more seconds. Smoothie going to stay alive, and here comes the rest of the squad. Jensen going to look for the root. Stixxay running back away, and the wall actually separates them, so now Jensen a little bit alone on this side, cutting away from Huhi, but not getting hard crowd control, not having to burn the flash get away either. Looks like they're all going to stay alive. Top laners actually staying in their respective lanes, nothing burned on that side, as they'll keep playing for this one. But look at that, Svenskeren finds some of the snipe come through, and Sneaky gets himself the kill in the bot lane, 3-0, and that turret's going to fall.
Yeah, Sneaky nails it. They can just back off, give the solo gold here to Sneaky, but don't elect to do so. They do share it up. Either way, it is actually the TP from Jensen coming in. And Smoothie just being so ridiculously tanky with that shockwave, and with his W, they're looking for a gank throw on Jensen.
That's going to be a big crowd control here. Now this one they can land any other combo abilities, but no, the hard crowd control is on cooldown, so it's just the walk away. Jensen healthy enough, and now it's just a 3,000 gold lead for Cloud9 now, plus this Mountain Drake.
Yeah, it's really nicely done. And the advantage in the bot lane is so big, it's even more impactful because this means Stixxay is further behind, and he's the only physical damage source on his team. He is way weaker than the Varus right now. You know, I've heard Sneaky talking about how powerful he thinks Varus is on the Rage Blade completion. He thinks that even on even gold, 80 carries cannot really complete once with the damage output that he's going to put out. And here is the gank once again, straight there onto Smoothie. But the fact that he has Shockwave, the fact that he gets healed up there, he has his Eclipse available, so much flat armor and MR that it's ridiculously hard to burst him down, especially because of the fact that Stixxay, you know, is behind and Biofrost is behind, and then Svenskeren coming down here, walking through the brush. They knew he was on the other side, but he's invisible fully walking through both of those wards, so I guess they just assumed he was still in the previous brush and didn't actually catch that he had been walking forward. But either way, just able to kind of stealth through and get picked off. Yeah,
really nicely done by Sven to set the one up, and the follow-through, of course, there for Sneaky. So 3-0, and it's all about that bot lane right now. Cloud9 playing around it pretty nicely. They've been one of, if not the best bot lane in North America. I think it's up for debate, but they're certainly in consideration. CLG's been kind of weak all around, sadly, for them. They've had reasonably decent early games, but just never able to convert. Now Cloud9 looking to keep this one going. 3,000 gold lead as they've moved their lanes around. The dual lane to the top side with the Drake dead. Herald available for the next 3.5 minutes.
And the early game point is kind of interesting because, you know, in the past when we were looking back at their start in summer last year, for CLG, their gold graph started off very slow. They were often behind, but if they got to late game, they were such a strong team at playing the map that they were able to take over. And C9 going to be looking for a dive.
Flash E, and then the flash away by Huhi. Doesn't want to get rooted up for this one, but it means a little bit of alone time with the turret, so they will walk away. You saw Jensen hoping to get in Rune Prison range, couldn't quite find it.
Yeah, not able to find it, and CLG is roaming to mid lane, but yeah, compared to last year, where they were this really strong macro team, where they were this team that was so good at playing the map in the late game, has been the opposite. Despite the fact that they have been able to get some gold leads and have early advantages, traditionally speaking, this split, they aren't able to hold on to them. They are falling further and further behind as the game goes on. So it really does not bode well when you're already behind at the start in this game against Cloud9.
Difficulties for CLG on this one as unless they can reinvent how to play their mid to late game with only a week's notice, it's going to be rough times ahead as they might just fall to 3-10. Cloud9 can keep going up in the standings. Only one win behind the first place team. Here's round number 2 against Huhi. Again, the damage, and he's got no sodas this time around, so the damage is just there. He is gone. He's flatlined 4-0. Another scoreline. More damage towards ReignOver. Going to try to survive this turret a little bit longer as some of the team roams down, but it means alone time for C9's duo in the top side of the map. Top lane outer will actually fall to this Varus, as it was the dual lane of CLG roaming to help mid, but it means that their own lane has been sacrificed.
Yeah, and there was kind of anti-timing there for ReignOver. He was actually charging up his elastic slingshot and cancels it right as Svenskeren is opening onto his mid laner. So no way to actually get in there and gap close and peel for him. They called off the gank a split second before. And that meant it was no chance for Huhi to get out. Jensen is down here now. Darshan has been fighting pretty aggressively, but it's 3 men strong.
Yeah, he's going to run away towards his jungle. He could go towards the turret, but he's not doing it just yet. Biofrost around the wings, half HP on Darshan, and nearly forces Sven away, who does jump out and knock up on a Licorice as the team can re-engage. You got Xayah around the walls. This actually could be a kill on a Maokai. Ulti burn for this one, and plenty of damage output as here comes Huhi as well, and he's got flash. He's going to burn that now. Gets over the wall, puts down the cats, and out goes Licorice.
Without the Xayah there, there's just no damage really being dealt to Licorice. It's so hard to actually take him down, and meanwhile in the mid lane, Sneaky and Smoothie just walking around the map, picking up turret after turret after turret. They are now up 5,000 gold, and individually, 2,500 of that gold is on Sneaky, and that is just a ridiculous gold lead at this stage in the game. I mean, that is a full Hurricane almost, just as an advantage when your opponent is sitting on one item.
Absolutely the case, not going to lend any of it. Ooh, the sidestep for Sneaky gets away from that stretching strike there. I'm curious if Sneaky is going to go for Wits End versus Blade of the Ruin King. Wits End did get nerfed for ranged champions, generally speaking, in the patch, as it stacks up the MR shred a bit slower. But he's going to go Wits End anyway, now into the long swords of that Blade of the Ruin King, so a single target build for him.
And I think it makes sense against this composition specifically, because there is so much magic damage coming out. Again, it's only Stixxay that is dealing physical damage, and when Stixxay is very likely going to be pushed back by your Maokai and by your Kha'Zix and by the Leona, it's unlikely that he will be hitting Sneaky in these fights. So when you look at the champions that will be able to, it's going to be extremely efficient.
Definitely agree as the items continue to stack up. Banner of Command now done for Cloud9's top laner as well. Aegis for both supports. We'll see which one it goes toward, but the extra cloth armor and Smoothie's inventory says maybe that's banner number 2 instead of Locket. Maybe an overcommit, but we'll see what comes through into this one. 20 minutes in means Baron is on the map, and Cloud9 taking over that western jungle to try to make sure there's no vision, and they can take that in dark if they need to, but there is one ward in the river they did not spot, and that means it won't be a sneak.
Yeah, the gold lead in the mid lane pretty large here too. Quietly, Jensen has been kind of farming away. He has been involved in 3 of 4 kills, but on 2 items plus his Lucidity boots. This is really Ryze starting to turn on pretty heavily. Because at this point, he's at 40% CDR, and that is why the Archangel's change is so big for Ryze.
CDR went away, nice flash gets him out though, and now they're re-engaged on the front side. They actually find some CC, the ultis are burned, and they got rid of it at half HP. The cats come by once again, and he's split in a bloblets, and now they're re-engaged towards this Xayah, who managed to get the kill off on a Sven. The blade collar so big, but of course both junglers are now down as there's no one to save ReignOver. So a 4v4 on the map, no junglers, no smite, probably not a chance at Baron. Going to be a disengage now on both sides.
Yeah, trade of kills, not too bad for either side, but generally you favor the team that is behind when you can have those even trades. We'll see if CLG can challenge around this Infernal. As it is C9 that is first to the scene, and Siki is much stronger. They're on to Stixxay.
Flash engage, no escape tools with Stixxay left, no summoner, no ultimate. The flash for the chase down. One more shot will do it. Remember the knockups are there for Cho'Gath. Can Darshan reach the target? Yes, they can. The shutdown comes through. This could be just what CLG needed. How many ways can Smoothie get out? And it's going to be 0. That kill comes in. And now Jensen's in a 2 versus 4 to 3. Maybe out of the fight he wants, he flashes. Get away from what could have been more crowd control. Out he goes. A nice fight now Chronological Gaming can play for this Drake.
Yeah, that's a pretty big win for them, honestly. Jensen was not in position with the team, and they're starting this up, and CLG simply walks in. They can't actually finish the kill off on a Stixxay, and as Huhi comes in, they take down Sneaky. They're going to get a couple kills. They're going to get an Infernal, and kind of reestablishing themselves a little bit here in this game.
That's a huge surge in money. Shut down gold from killing Sneaky is a surge in for the team, and just overall going +3.
And here's the engage once more. ReignOver onto Stixxay. Honestly, a really good job by Biofrost, kind of peeling Sneaky off, and then Darshan coming in with a follow-up. The knockup comes out, and they're able to burst him down. And the fact that Stixxay is the one getting a couple of these kills in the last 2 plays really is getting him to a point where he's going to be much more relevant in this game. Forcing the flash out from Jensen. Going to be a nice victory there, too, despite the fact that he does have Lucidity and the Summoner Spellbook, so pretty low cooldown on those summons.
Sure, absolutely the case, but it is mean some things going towards Chronological Gaming's way, and then second chance at Jensen's Ryze might just come through. A couple of minion kills here as Smoothie keeps that going forward, and Yeah, he's going for banner number 2 there with that Glacial Shroud in inventory. Zeke's Harbinger, I like that actually a lot on Biofrost. It lines up really well with what Rakan's combat pattern is. I think the item is heavily underrated. And you talked about one physical damage champion on the team in Stixxay. Well, he's got more damage output now thanks to Zeke's. That should help him quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a really intelligent item choice here. Also love the Lucidity boots. I think there's sometimes too much priority on mobility boots for supports in the LCS. You know, people obviously are very big on the movement and being able to get on the map and clear wards and these sorts of things. And Biofrost actually getting caught out.
They found themselves a champion. Out he goes, though. Pretty easy escape for Biofrost as he runs away. Now a root here on this one. The CC going to keep layering on top of that one. And that is another dead jungler. ReignOver 0-2-0 has not been part of anything positive.
This is going to be them starting the Baron. I mean, yes, Biofrost got out with his cleanse being popped, but jungler is down now. C9 can look to start this. Licorice still has flash. He has ult. He has his root available, and they could turn and fight if CLG shows up. Darshan actually canceled his TP there, so he's pretty far.
Okay, then here comes the attempt onto this one. The re-engage could look pretty solid. A lot of ultimates still available, including Licorice's Maokai ulti. No smite available, and the Cho'Gath seems far, so this should be a pretty easy pickup for Sven. There's the re-engage. Double knockups are available. Jensen gets the first kill, though, to cut off the support. And now Darshan to the front lines, and he's actually alone as the rest of the team is just running away from the fight. They know that CLG cannot win it anymore. Licorice finding himself his first kill of the game, and then back onto Baron. Sven has to respect his health bar being low, but shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be too hard, but ReignOver is moving over there. I mean, Sven could theoretically actually die to this. He is very, very low. He's kind of having to back out and forth and trying to use the W to heal. C9 will secure the Baron, though, and that's a Baron on 5 with banner available for Licorice. Maybe even another one coming in here for Smoothie as he goes back to base. And
yeah, he should have it.
Not quite yet, at least, but either way, they can start this push. They are ridiculously strong. That's 3 complete items now for Sneaky. Jensen is on 2.5. 3 items for Licorice here as well, and it's actually going to be 2 Zeeks, so.
Yeah, I take that back. I realized that I'm done for saying that Glacial Shroud builds into Aegis, or into Banner, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It's Raptor Cloak. Either way, it's a cool item. I'm happy to see it. I like Zeke's Harbinger.
It used
and
to build into
both AD. Yeah, that's why I got wrong, is I'm just too old. But here's the CLG engage once again, and it just was not enough.
Yeah, I mean, Biofrost goes straight in, but there's not really any follow-up because Licorice is kind of zoning on the side, and as soon as he steps out of the brush, Stixxay could not really go forward or he's guaranteed to die. And Darshan getting locked up, easy to take down there for C9 in the 5v1. And they are just looking so good this game, dominating start to finish. Svenskeren kind of lurking around behind them here, and they have some waves pushing, but they're just going to group up and use the banner on the cannon minion and try to force CLG to engage. But that is going to be so difficult to do through a Maokai and is flanking Svenskeren.
They see him in the back line. Can ReignOver find himself in the battle? He's got the ult. He's going to pull one in, but just gets flopped right away. And Maokai in the front line is where he wants to be anyway. Look at the damage output. Darshan going to fall. They will get the trade, though, as Leona drops. Smoothie gets killed, but it's a 2-for-1. All the same, a double comes out for Sneaky. 4 versus 3 on the map, and C9 can keep sieging.
Yeah, and Svenskeren is behind them. He's looking to threaten the dive here. He's going to come around and push them back.
Licorice threatening it as well. They're going to push them right off of the turret. Who needs empowered minions? Just the threat of killing you is enough to get another one picked up. There is Cloud9 stretch their lead to 9,000 gold. Licorice holds the front line some more as they make that push go farther and farther, blocking the shots from Huhi. Jensen walking forward, looking to threaten Stixxay here, but he's got to respect the fact that the re-engage could still be threatening. Not going to be enough, though, as the mid inhibitor will fall 4v3. They're going to make sure they walk it all the way into the base, and a nice pickup there, Cloud9. Crack all the way through mid lane.
Yeah, good job by Cloud9, and critically, you know, Darshan did use his dematerializer on that bannered minion, so it did prevent any more damage from coming out, but C9 is just so strong at this point, they can walk forward, force their way into the base. And that's now a death cap completed here for Jensen, so bad just going to worse, honestly, for CLG as the items just come piling in. Cloud9 is picking up more gold, so they're just extending this advantage, and here it is once more. You can see Darshan moving forward there, and does dematerialize the cannon, but in the backline, it's actually ReignOver getting burst down so ridiculously fast. The team was not really there to help. And honestly, even the Taliyah wall kind of working against ReignOver, it felt like it was splitting him off from the rest of the team. Don't think it was the difference in the fight, but doesn't feel like that was one they were ever going to win.
It didn't seem like it there. So a lot picked up. Cloud9, again, that 9,000 gold lead here, looking to maybe close it soon enough. Hurricane on the way for Sneaky. You mentioned the death cap already. The power spikes are quite nice here. Not Guardian Angel, but a Black Cleaver coming through for Sven. Actually, it's not even that because that's not what the build order is for that item. A nice knockback there. Licorice means there's no CC out of ReignOver. Out he walks.
And honestly, Licorice has been performing well. He's been doing his job here on the Maokai, so definitely playing pretty well in the tanks here. Another banner minion coming up, and Darshan has to get up there and try to dematerialize it. We'll see if he can move forward and do just that, but he's kind of getting blocked out by these creeps. And
there he goes, consumes it, and there we go. All right, that turret's going to survive. It lasted long enough. Half HP left, and they'll have to wait for that cooldown once again. It is, again, a one-banner team, only Licorice here. Has not gotten any Summoner Spell CDR almost anywhere. Maybe that Inspiration Secondary, but that would be it.
Yeah, it's Smoothie looking like he's going to build towards a banner perhaps now. He does have that Aegis once again. Could be a Locket, but
I'd like
maybe building towards the second banner. And it'll be interesting to see what the decision tree is. But I definitely do tend to agree that Locket is kind of being under-prioritized in this patch. It's one of those situations where I feel like everyone is so overhyped on banner that I've seen games at times where there are 3 banners and you don't even have a Locket, and then you lose the fight, and, well, your banners don't really do anything for you.
As you're seeing CLG sort of very aware of what the metagame seems to be, it's like, yep, we're going to have to deal with Baron banner at some point. So Darshan held on to 4 stacks by the time the 20-minute arc came around. And if your win condition was buff up a Baron minion, that's not tenable right now, as Darshan kind of stymied those first few pushes. The team fight, though, clearly was great for Cloud9, and the conventional League of Legends play worked just nicely for them. Yeah,
and they have a big advantage. They don't need the banner to win the game, but if a second Baron buff comes around and they have 2 banners available, well, there's only 2 more charges of the Dematerializer there for Darshan. So that may come into play, but also could see Cloud9 just close this one out. I mean, you do have a multiple tank team. You have a very strong AD carry, and you certainly can posture aggressively and look to threaten dives or zone your opponents off.
Look at that damage output. Yeah, that was really nice, though. He had the spell flux on over all the minions and just got a huge chunk down on a Huhi, forcing the recall. Sadly for Cloud9, there's no minion wave left, so no siege to see here. Licorice splitting the bot side. Sven going to come join him, it looks like. And we'll see just which lane Cloud9 attacked for. They're ignoring top, going to go for bot.
Probably has to go down to kill the banner minion. Licorice is just struggling trying to kill this cannon. He can't do anything to it.
He can punch it slowly.
As we will slowly...
See, it's dead. He did just fine.
He used his own banner to kill the other banner, because that does way more damage.
That's also true. Well, non-Baron on this one. This is an unaffected, unbuffed, unbug-fixed. Their smite used, auto still coming through, but this turret's losing a lot of HP. Finally does go down thanks to Stixxay's damage output.
Will they engage? I mean, Jensen is caught out.
They're going to find Jensen. Yes, they will. The knockbacks are there, and they will pick off the mid laner. The re-engage of the front line. Licorice running out of life, and he's going to fall as well. 2 for 0 to CLG. ReignOver stays alive. What a fight out of Counter Logic Gaming. They finally got the fight they wanted. They've got so much more to come back with now. 40 seconds without Ryze is a lot of time.
And that time, the Taliyah ultimate was perfect there, sectioning off the mid laner. Jensen elects not to flash over the wall back to his team, thinking perhaps he can do it reactionary, but he is not able to.
Sven wants in, gets the kill, but doesn't have a way out after he kills off Biofrost. He's up against 2 tanks. He's going to get knocked into the air, turns invisible for a couple of seconds, but he's silenced, and he's going to run out of health pretty rapidly. More TC coming in, and Sven going to go for his duel.
Darshan needs to get over and help him, but he's trying to cut off his escape path, and will Sven just get out?
Well, Sven has flash. He's going to jump away, and he's invisible. He's invisible again.
Oh, no.
And he does make it away, the great escape.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if you can really blame Darshan. He was holding on a flash. If he jumps the wall, for sure he gets out.
It's tough, right? At the same time, can you not maybe flash over and feast him?
Maybe.
But either way, there is the engage again from the earlier play. You see Huhi set that up so well with the Taliyah wall. Not only does he section off Jensen, as there's just too many fights, we can't cover anything.
Love it. League of Legends fighting. Want more of it. Nicely done right here, but that is a mid laner missing for 47 seconds.
Baron
exactly is alive. Good luck, Counter Logic Gaming. You need something big on this one because Baron's going down pretty quickly.
They're not even going to try. I mean, there's honestly no reason to even approach that. I think that if you go to try to fight this, you simply die in the fight and the game ends. So I do like the choice here to kind of just see the Baron, and yes, it is a bad situation, but they can still have a chance to find fights and try to look for something later.
So if they can find that defensive position as their jungler's being taken away, Sven takes away the Gromp, and now top lane siege is happening. They do not have the Licorice around, but they have the damage output regardless. Shouldn't be too hard to knock this one down. And top lane tier 2 is dead. Licorice now rejoining the team. And they've pinged the minions. Like, you want to do this one? It's kind of injured. It's the older model.
Kind of expecting C9 to reset here as well. I mean, Stinky's sitting on 3,000 gold. But they are just actually going to banner up a range minion and try to push it in.
Look at that damage. But that cast minion is nuts.
It's actually doing a lot.
Yeah! And it's gone.
Ooh. They actually got him to use a dematerializer proc. on a non-cannon. So
I mean, it outranges the turret still.
Yeah.
Seems worth it.
Not too bad, not too bad. A big wave, though, pushing bot side for CLG, so C9 definitely trying to get out of here. Licorice may be caught. He is flashless. He's going to die.
He's been walled off, so unless he can make it into that corner, it's going to be... He actually gets over the charm, but does it matter? No, it doesn't. That is it at Maokai, and Stixxay on his 5th kill. He is catching up.
Yeah, Stixxay has actually been doing a good job kind of clawing back into this game, the recipient of almost all of these kills, and this wave will get cleared up.
That is a Targon stack. Bam! Made it look effortless.
Either way, Sneaky finally did buy, and Svenskeren is prowling around here.
Yep.
I actually really like how Svenskeren is playing this, threatening the flanks nonstop, because he has a Duskblade. He will be aware if he's actually spotted out, and that in combination with his ultimate camouflage, every time you're going into a new bush, you get that stealth, you can move around the map very quickly and scout things out, kind of use yourself as this battle ward, so to speak. CLG, though, setting up a death brush down here. 3 men in there. Sven does not see this.
And he's been found out. Down he goes. A nice kill picked up CLG with a proper death brush.
Yeah, 6 kills in a row now for Stixxay. He's on 4 items. I mean, this is really getting a little bit sketchy for Cloud9. Yes, they're still very far ahead, but there's potential for a comeback, certainly, for CLG, because Stixxay has a lot of items. He is a lot of engage on this team, and if they can find the correct members, the gold lead stops mattering pretty quickly.
Yeah. We'll see if that point does come in. Void Staff done for Jensen means a better tank killer, and that's going to coming soon enough for Huhi. Went for Leandries himself. Might be towards a Ryze with that Blaster Wand, or could be a Void himself. His builds come forward too as the tank continue to build up, and of course we are running lower on Dematerializer stacks. Only 1 left on Darshan. There's still 2 held on by Smoothie, and via the jungler kill, it means alone time on the Drake, and Chomp, another stack comes through. Equal Drake count now for both these squads. CLG have 2 for themselves. The gold's still 8,000 apart.
Nice for Darshan to grab that stack there too. I mean, it's actually his first non-minion stack of the game, so he's just sitting at 7.
Yeah.
So that is, getting him a little bit stronger. The real problem for CLG right now, I think, is no longer Stixxay. He is actually caught up quite nicely in gold. It's more about the differential between Huhi and Jensen, right? He is over 4,000 gold behind his counterpart. That is a massive disadvantage, and he's down almost 100 CS, just about 100 CS, plus the kills and the assists and the additional turrets on Jensen's side, and that is giving him a pretty enormous lead. And despite the fact that CLG has been finding some good kills and some good picks, if they cannot instantly kill someone off in a team fight, you expect Jensen to just simply put out way more damage than Huhi, because he is so far ahead in itemization.
Absolutely. Things to be concerned about. Licorice fighting a cannon minion. Thankfully, he's got one of his own.
Yep.
Well, who's going to win the duel? Caster! Caster wins! Obviously, as we know, the casters are the best in League of Legends. Yeah, I mean, it's just really not reasonable at all. Casters are just superior in all cases. If you're getting the reference, everyone, I'm not being subtle about it at all.
I don't get it.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay.
All right, so C9 pushing in the bot lane again, seeking to be able to clean up another turret there, and does actually have his Guardian Angel, so will have a second life on this full build AD carry. But as far as actual pure damage output, Stixxay is definitely going to be getting pretty close. I mean, he is on his double Zeal plus his 2 BF sword items, and probably going to be building towards, I imagine, what is somewhat of armor pen, some sort of last whisper item. I'm of the opinion that anytime you're against Maokai, it should be Executioners. Because he actually heals for such a tremendous amount in these fights that you're really cutting out a lot of his survivability by getting that, despite the fact that your numbers are smaller because you don't have a Lord Dominix.
Right.
It makes more of a difference than how fast you kill him. Just cut down the healing.
Yep, tend to agree. But we'll see what he ends up choosing for himself as he waits for enough money to turn the longsword into something of real value. 10,000 gold remains the difference here. It looks like Cloud9 not able to get a whole lot done off of that Baron buff. 145 till the next one comes in. They'll play for Baron number 3. First Elder Dragon spawning next time around. That's going to be in about 4 minutes. If we end up having a very long one, then we might have the double Elder. That would be exciting. Almost have it on EU, but Broxo stole a dragon, so it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that ended the game, actually.
Yep.
It was definitely an exciting one earlier today, but for C9, this was a game that was looking like it was going to be a very fast end. They were massively ahead, but CLG has found a way to make fights happen time and time again, to keep the game going, right? They're not, I would say, super close yet, but they are definitely in competition for it. And as you get closer to the 40, 45-minute mark, gold leads stop mattering nearly as much because people start completing their item builds.
Yeah, and I really got to give credit because this is a team that has usually struggled in the mid to late game, and CLG is actually rising to the challenge in the mid to late game. So maybe they are doing a bit better here, and they're reshaping just enough in time. As the Stixxay item update comes in, he's actually going towards QSS Mercurial Scimitar, so no tank busting straight up. Worried about getting caught out by Leona, which is honestly reasonable in its own right.
It's definitely fair. I mean, there is the Maokai route, there's the Ryze route, there's a lot going on there, and if he dies, the game will end. But at the same time, when you have no Morellos, when you have no Executioners, this Maokai is going to be ridiculously hard to take down. So it is something to worry about, and there's some push and pull there, but C9 looking for an engage.
They're going to find a route in the front line. Here comes the hard CC. The kidnap back from the Zac as well means they will kill off Licorice before you can blink an eye. And Darshan taking with the stone plate flashing away, and looks like that's going to be good enough. They don't need the tank busting just yet, it seems. The damage output is high enough anyway.
I mean, Licorice just got absolutely shredded, and it seemed like C9 could not get all their pieces into place. They tried to kind of funnel in through a corridor and come at them from two sides, but it's Licorice getting pulled into the rest of the team. Everyone from CLG focus firing him, and he just gets burst down, and now it's a 5v4. They have Feast available to try to go for this Baron secure. And CLG, if they get this Baron,
it's a wall that cuts them off. It's not easy to jump in anymore. Sven might not have a good way in. He's even seen if he turns stealth, they'll know, and the pickup is there. Counter Logic Gaming turned the pick into their first Baron of the game, getting it closer.
Yeah, we're going to have to see that fight again. I mean, C9 really seemed like a pretty awkward engage with Sneaky off to the side, as well as one other man in the mid lane, and everyone else kind of piling in from the inside. But it was an engage onto a Zac. So there are 3 men in the bush here. Both the carries from C9 are off to the side, and they're not contributing to this fight yet until right now Jensen is starting to get involved. But it's actually pretty disoriented fight there from C9. I understand they were trying to start something off, and they are very far ahead, and they wanted to get a pick, but Zac is not the target. And that was an engage onto Zac with neither of your carries with you. So they don't even have the follow-up damage to actually burst him down. And that was pretty poorly done from C9. And now it's the banner minion here for CLG.
Smoothie walks up, puts W, gets hard CC, and they just pick him right off with the Feast involved as well. 1 for 0, the kidnap back. He's going to get ReignOver to safety, actually. The root is on, they've got a second kill. Are you kidding me? Counter Logic Gaming just keep finding the fights, and the cannons are still alive.
Smoothie actually tried to go dematerialize the banner minion. He failed to even do that before he died, and CLG could theoretically go for a death push.
And look at Sven in the back. He's trying to get the damage up, but his smite was still on cooldown, but he put some damage in. The minion's still alive, though, means the turrets and the buildings are still falling.
Go for the
inhibitor is dead, and it's 5v3. Can CLG really make the comeback happen? Look for the engage. They've got Sneaky. Now they have Jensen to deal with. Some damage outputs there. The flash 4, they've got him. 1 shutdown in, 2 versus 5 to close the game out, but the minions have been killed off. There's now no way to siege easily. Gonna disengage by the next wave. Jensen gonna look for the play. Almost gets Stixxay 1 more shot, but he can't get it. Head to the back line. Oh, it's huge out of Svenskeren. He gets 1. He revives, and no, he's gonna fall down to the rupture. The TP to keep a Bloblet alive, and ReignOver will walk back to safety. Darshan is okay.
God.
But the team is respawning, and it will be a stop for now. That was hectic.
What a ridiculous series of events here. Cloud9 just barely staying alive by the skin of their teeth. That was almost CLG just straight up ending the game, and now they are right over onto this Elder Dragon. They are going to be the ones that get the first Elder, and CLG have pulled right back into this game.
What a series of events. The pick into the Baron, into the team fights, and the sort of courage and shot claim to say immediately one-shot Smoothie, rupture him, feast him, everything, and they turned it in so well. Counter Logic Gaming will get this uncontested Elder Dragon. It resets, they're going to lose some time, but no one will stop them. And after the reset, that's when it starts getting really interesting again. They're taking some time. Are they going to let Darshan feast it, it looks like?
No, they're waiting for Stixxay to respawn.
Oh,
they're waiting for Stixxay to respawn to get the Elder Dragon buff on their strongest member. When Stixxay does respawn, they will burst this down with the Feast and the Smite, and now they have a 5-man Elder Dragon with an Infernal. The gold lead now matters not at all. CLG has more combat power on the map as of right now, and here's this play again. Sneaky getting engaged on. He is burst down. Jensen on the side trying his best to actually pick them off, and they get a lot of damage down onto Stixxay and are kind of able to kite this back and forth. Stixxay almost getting taken out, taking a couple turret shots there, and then he barely gets away, but Jensen is able to get him low enough that Svenskeren can jump in, execute him, and jump back out. And he does go down, but that alone really is what kind of keeps this game going. And again, C9 going to be sieged on here. Yes, there are dematerializer charges for Smoothie, but he died before he even got it off last fight and may not be brazen enough to kind of walk forward and try to get it this time.
And the core build for Leona has no bonus HP on it. 2,000 max health is easy to feast through, so he is killable. And here comes the siege again. They've buffed up the minion, looking for a bit more to do here. But yeah, it's just not threatening enough. The wall doesn't really mean that much, and they can keep farming now. Cloud9 putting more items in their inventory.
And the Baron had expired, so it was not the super powerful minion. And ReignOver kind of just tanking this up here. He does have a Warmog, so he can get free shots in, but C9 has a lot of wave clear, so without the Baron, it's going to be tough to actually push up and just kind of knock down these turrets unless they have threats coming from the other side. But this game really has kind of equalized quite a lot here, and C9 has got to be stressing out quite a lot with the massive advantage they had. Being pretty much all but thrown away.
Well, Jensen's still on that one item lead. Spellbinder's Orb rounds out his build here. Fully stacked, ready for the team fight. One full slot still to go for Huhi, something to watch out for. The Dragon buff still on. They find the charm in the front line. They're just going to destroy Licorice with a 1-for-0, 5v4. ReignOver going to lose the life, though, no passive. So the team fight back to 4-on-4, but Elder Dragon, of course, still threatening. Smoothie, Biofrost, the rest of the squad's now looking for the team fight next. The silence comes through, but they find the root. They find damage on Darshan. 1,000 health bar left on him. The flash for the stun. They should get the kill, but not quite. They turn back on a Smoothie. One kill is for CLG. And he's going to get another one, 2 for him, but trade it back as Sven is an assassin.
Oh, Jensen is so strong.
3. Can Jensen survive? Here comes the jump in the backline. Sven wants the damage of it. Be careful, Darshan can re-engage on you. The Rupture's going to land. It's one versus the world. The knockup is in the end. And Counter Logic Gaming going to pull in the impossible comeback. And did you believe it when you believe in them least? They will take this win over Cloud9. No one thought they could do it. And yet they will walk this one in. No one left to defend. 15 seconds on Licorice. 3-9, a 10,000 gold deficit. And CLG in last place will knock down the #2 team in NA.
It's just insane. You have to shake your head. I mean, every time it seems like they're in these impossible situations that there's no way they could win. And CLG able to actually pull it back this time. I mean, Cloud9 is going to be very frustrated with that loss, though. I mean, they had every opportunity to end that game, and it's CLG finding fight after fight after fight, pick after pick after pick, slowly whittling away that advantage. And then that one push mid lane. Smoothie unable to get the dematerializer off on the Baroned up, bannered minion, gets burst down immediately. And Licorice, multiple fights in a row, actually getting burst down without activating Stone Plate, without being able to survive at all. I mean, I was talking earlier, he was performing pretty well. He was having a pretty decent game for himself, but when it got to the team fights, Licorice was unable to survive almost whatsoever. I mean, he was the first person to die and the person getting picked off in a lot of these fights. I mean, even that final push, they're engaging on a Maokai under the turret, able to easily burst him down.
Immediately.
And that was the fight.
Absolutely the case here. So huge out of Counter Logic Gaming. They melted Cloud9's front line.
Just...
I mean, rapidly. And it's another game, by the way, where Stixxay ends up with a gigantic scoreline. Rough laning phase, sure. Arguably, I think Biofrost did very well in the laning phase. There was some push and pull. Some really good ganks, of course, came through out of the team. But, I mean, the damage graph is comical. 50,000 damage comes through in a 44-minute game. I mean, yes, there was 40K out of his opposing AD carry, but 20K out of Cho'Gath, 50K out of the Xayah. 2.5x anyone on his team. This was a hard carry through and through. The bot lane did very well. The engages were good. And CLG have these glimmers once in a while. It's like, yes, they can do it.
And it's interesting because, again, you're seeing the individual talent on this team, right? You know, people are pretty on board that Huhi and Darshan have had really great games at times and not been able to kind of carry it through. And Stixxay, despite the fact that he was getting a lot of criticism towards the start of the season, this is, what, 3, 4, 5 games in a row that he's performed very well, I think. You know, even in the losses this past weekend, I think he performed very well. The week before that, he was very good in both their wins on Kalista. And again here, against Cloud9, performing very, very well. But this is, you know, at the end of the day, a 4-9 team. On the outside looking in for playoffs, but they just took down Cloud9 and they did it convincingly at the end.
It's going to be a tough one, but 3 games out of playoffs with 5 to play. If they can make the run, it'd be a miracle. But now, for more on that win, let's send it down to Avli, standing by with the CLG mid laner.
Thanks, guys. Huhi, congratulations on that win, knocking down Cloud9. What does picking up this victory mean to you and your team?
I think this victory for us means kind of like a ignite for our hope. We still didn't give up that we can make the playoff and win this split. And this wins just kind of like reassure us, ourselves, that we can still do it.
Now, this split, you were actually tasked with almost replacing Afromu as the team's shot caller. What has that process and that journey been for you so far?
I think that's one of like our biggest challenge this split, especially. We had to like figure out like what communication system we're gonna go for, and we kind of decided for me as a shot caller, and I think we kind of failed on it by like specifying like different, giving different people different tasks. So we kind of had 2 shot caller, and that was making me pretty confusing. And going forward, I think we're gonna like move to 1 shot caller, and we decided that that's gonna be Vincent, and we're giving him full support. And I think now we're kind of like getting as a team, and that's why we could have like picked this win up.
Glad to hear about that progress. And looking forward, CLG, you have the possibility to make it into playoffs, but it is going to be a little difficult. With that in mind, how are you approaching the rest of the split?
I think our mindset is gonna be always the same. Like no matter if we can make a playoff or not, we're gonna always try our best so that we don't give up our fans. And yeah, obviously, like all my teammates are like, our mindset is to win this split still. So yeah, we're gonna take whatever we can, or like we're gonna do whatever we can to get there.
Huhi, congratulations again on that win. And for more on this game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. It was all control for Cloud9 for a large majority of that game until the throws started coming in one after the other. CLG end up with the victory here in a big upset over our #2 squad.
And it was a very different look for Cloud9. We're talking about how Licorice plays tanks. We're wondering what's going to happen in this game. He ends up on the Maokai pick, and as a result, they don't play to him at all. There's all this bot lane action that's going to take place. Red buff invades into counter pick Leona.
Yeah, and the thing about this is C9 looked good in doing this. They had that sneaky ward on Krugs to kind of show them exactly where CLG was during this. They make the narrow escape. They turn that into a kill lane, bottom lane, hit 6, go immediately for them, land the CC, crush that lane. I mean, at one point, Sneaky was 3-0 with a large gold lead. Jensen's popping off in the mid lane with the CS on Ryze. Everything looked really smooth for C9 in this game. Even the Baron plays, right? Yeah, sure, they could have finished it, but they're picking up a bunch of extra kills, getting Baron on the back end. They were looking good with Licorice on a tank.
Right, and this was reaching the point where you're like, well, C9's got this game, and then things started to slow down after this point, and Jad and I were talking about how this was like the least clean closeout of the day, despite the fact that this should have been the biggest mismatch on the day, C9 versus CLG, and then they threw so many times that eventually CLG start trying to end the game. C9 played the situation out pretty well, split up CLG, make sure they can get to the cannon creep that was in the back line so it can't keep pushing, and now there's 2 scary damage threats, both Svenskeren and Jensen. They didn't know who to focus down. Sven made some huge plays there to keep the game alive, but at that point, they had already been outscaled.
Look at that jump.
Oh
yeah,
my
a
goodness.
Cho'Gath, Xayah frontline and backline damage is way better than anything C9's bringing in that fight. So even though they stalled the game out there, C9 had already become outscaled.
Right, yeah, essentially no goal difference at the end of the game. I think that was the fear for Cloud9, this idea of being outscaled. But in all reality, the lead that Cloud9 had built, when you're looking at that at around 25-ish, 26 minutes,
yeah, 9K.
You should never get to the point where you get outscaled.
Probably not.
Probably.
Probably not.
I mean, like, look at some of these plays that they do to throw this game away. Jensen just doesn't want to get flashed after he gets walled off, and lo and behold, one of the best engaged champions in the game, Rakan, finds a pickoff.
Yeah.
Here, everyone
Sticking
recalls.
around for a minion. They realize he's alone. Cut him off. He has
The
no
whole
flash
team's
as well.
back.
Yeah, so Licorice is going to die. This is with a Baron buff on that you're getting nothing done. This is their second Baron in the game where you should be ending the game, and they're getting picked off all over the place. Licorice is still dead. Sven wants to be setting up the next push. He has no backup as he goes for this, just kind of runs face checking into
but
this.
like, what is the win of that play?
Right.
Like, maybe I get to hit a support, and like, sure, maybe he gets a pick, but if he
Or
doesn't,
ward.
then they're losing Dragon pressure, they're losing Baron pressure, they're losing vision control, and it was really poorly done down the stretch by Cloud9.
Right, so this is to say that the blame doesn't individually fall on any one member of Cloud9. We just showed 3 examples of where a simple change could have secured the game for them, and they'll be kicking themselves for this loss. But I do also want to kind of look at CLG here, because it's a kind of a tough situation in terms of analysis when you're watching a team and you say, well, they should have lost. They should have lost based on the game state. but they did win. So where do we go with that?
Right. Okay. So one thing they did that they took part in the comeback was actually saving on their minion dematerializer stacks to make it so the Baron minions didn't just end the game. That allowed them space to try and get picks. It's also the third game in a row now where pretty much everyone in the soul lanes does nothing and Stixxay pops off.
Okay.
And it's the first one of those three in their 6-game losing streak that they just broke, where they were actually able to win the late-game teamfights, because they also drafted a better late-game team-fighting team. But as we just saw, with the 10,000 gold disadvantage, they shouldn't have won.
No, I mean, there's not really much to add. You want to be like, good job, CLG, you're figuring it out, but in no way did they figure like a new strategy out for themselves.
Right. Cloud9, Licorice first look on tanks. The early game seemed to be going pretty well. As we mentioned, it wasn't necessarily focused up there, but what was our immediate reaction to his Maokai tank play?
I thought he looked great. Like, he was using his W to dodge out on a lot of skill shots. There's a 3-man gank that went up to the top side. He dodged. They played a different style where jungle proximity is much more heavily slanted down to the bot lane, and they snowballed. So C9, good job, but like, come on.
Hey, whether it was ugly or not, CLG came away with the victory. We heard Huhi say there that's the beginnings of, for them, the climb to playoffs that they still believe they can make.
Technically, they can go 9-9 if they win all of the games.
That's what we had said, right? That 500 mark is generally right around where you need to be if you want to slip into playoffs. Loading onto the Rift for Game 4, it's Golden Guardians versus Echo Fox, another big lopsided matchup. Don't touch that browser.